When God gives a command as his followers, we should obey it, no matter what our personal opinion is or even how difficult this command may seem to us. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Wednesday. We can read about God's great exploits for his people in the Old Testament. We can read about his leadings and his commands and the things that they were to follow in his will for them. But God brought his people to this promised land that he had set aside for them some many years ago, even whenever Abraham walked and wandered around this land. And he called for them to go and possess the land, to drive out the Canaanites that were living there. Unfortunately, when they sent spies into the land to look around, 10 of them came back with a report that the land was inhabited by giants. There were great walled cities. There was no way that they could go in and actually take that land. So the people even sought to stone Caleb and Joshua, who had actually reported as spies that they should take the land because God had called them to do so and he had given them this land. Well, even after seeing God destroy the army of Pharaoh in their history, to let them cross the Red Sea on dry land, to see his power over the sea and over the neighboring kings as they had crossed through the wilderness, they still would not obey. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me with all the signs which I have performed among them?" So God sought to destroy this nation. He said, "I will rise up a new nation through you, Moses." And of course, Moses begged for his mercy on Israel, begged for God not to destroy this people. So the Lord finally said as his judgment in Numbers chapter 14 and verse 22, "Because all these men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that have provoked me see the land." Now, after all the generations that God had prepared to take this promised land, these have rebelled against the command of God to go up and to take the land. God spoke of their disobedience as tempting him. He said, "Some 10 times they have tempted, and they have not hearkened to my voice," which means they were disobeying his direct command to go in and take the land of Canaan. So as their punishment, they would be told here, "You will be left to wander in the wilderness for some 40 years. That would be long enough for this generation to die off, and only their children would be able to receive God's promise through the land of Canaan." You know, we need to consider what disobedience looks like to God and how he treats it. You know, we often see disobedience in children around their parents that seems to be unnoticed. Parents let that go. But God, who has called us to follow and even blessed us with his grace and his mercy, he expects us to obey his voice. He expects us to receive the blessings that he has promised to us that come only with our obedience. You know, when I read of these people who missed God's greatest blessing due to their disobedience, it makes me examine my own heart. It makes me wonder about us. What kind of things are we missing because we're not doing what God has told us to do? Am I obeying God's commands today, or am I facing his judgment for disobedience?